Oh my God. All right, let's get in there and buy that Ferrari Vision car. That's the one, baby. 3,000 cc, 1,300 horsepower. Let's take her for a spin. What is good, everybody? It is the Godfather of VR, the ageless one of the man, Lincoln Clay, and we're back with another live stream of GT7 on PlayStation VR 2, and we are going to check out the daily race again at Grand Valley. But first, I want to jump into this Ferrari Vision concept car that I just picked up. See here. Let's go to one of my favorite tracks. Should we make it clear, cloudy? Afternoon, sunset? What should we do? Let's go afternoon. All right, let's see what we got. Oh my goodness. The torque. Oh shit. Ooh. Ooh. That was a little too much shaking for me. Oops. We'll come back and try this car another time, but I don't know. I think I might have. Let's get in a different car. See if it'll let me change cars. No. Yeah, leave this so I can get in a different car. So I'd like to take a moment to thank all of you who tuned in to my Set of Corsa Competizione stream yesterday. I just wanted to give you guys a different look, you know, and show you guys basically what is my favorite racing sim. And but it had an all business feel to it, whereas this feels like entertainment.
Your FFB looks way too high.
Different cars react different, so I'm using the same settings that I've had for the last couple of weeks. It's just the way it is with sim racing. Different cars have different characteristics and different force feedback. So yeah, of course I could have easily went and turned it down, but all I really want to do is just jump in it for a second. I'm about ready to jump into some daily races. But before I jump into a daily race, I guess I kind of want to do a lap or two. Here, let's buy some soft tires for this. So we know that a lot of you that's been following what's going on knows that with PlayStation VR, one of the hot topics has been the blur with PSVR 2, and there's all kinds of videos out on how you can reduce it. And you know, some of these tips work, but it doesn't completely eliminate the blur. That's just the nature of VR. I mean, just about every headset out there has some form of blur in one way, shape, or form. And in the case of PSVR 2, relative to GT7, you know, you see pretty clear on the straights, but then when you get to the corners, that's when you start to see the ghosting or the reprojection. And I think a lot of that has to do with the 120 hertz, because I guess the 120 hertz is basically trickery. I guess it's 60 hertz per eye, and I'm led to believe that these 60 frames per eye refresh rate, I'm assuming that these frames are overlapping each other, and that's probably why you have the ghosting or the reprojection, because I found that with my HP Reverb, it has two refresh rates, 60 and 90 hertz. And with sim racing, 90 frames per second is the sweet spot. On the straights, your frame rate can be as low as 45 frames per second, and everything's still going to look clear and stable. But at that low of a frame rate, when you get to the turns, I mean, the trees and everything going around the corner is just going to be choppy. And 90 frames...
Mr. Clay, good sir.
Hey, how's it going? 90 frames is the sweet spot. So when I crank my Reverb G2 up to 90 frames, and it maintains 90 frames, when you go around corners, everything is smooth. Just the entire experience is smooth. So what I'm trying to say is that I think that if this were, I think if this game ran at a native 90 frames per second instead of this trickery.
I don't know if this is the case, but the so-called blur might be due to the old panels are pentile matrix instead of RGB strip. Not sure T.
I would agree with you, except that I see blur on just about every headset that I've ever worn when it comes to sim racing. Is that what I've come to find out is that 90 frames is the sweet spot. When you go around corners, if your headset drops below 90 frames per second, you're going to see it when you go around the corners. when you go around the corners, you're going to see the frame drops. As you go around the corners, you're going to see what looks like frame drops, reprojecting, ghosting. And in the case of this headset, it's supposed to be doing 120 frames per second. I don't think it does 90. I think it does 120, and that's it. And we know that the 120 is trickery. You know, it's 60 times 2. And like I said, I think the frames are overlapping each other. So when you're on the straights, everything's clear. But when you get to the corners and you start turning corners, that's when stuff looks blurry and ghosty.
Digital Foundry said they would take the hidden graphics if this supported 90 Hz.
And I think that's what it comes down to, because this game, as far as I'm concerned, there's really no downgrading graphics. All the same graphics that are flat screen are there. But I think when you factor in like a headset that supports HDR, ray tracing, and these amazing graphics and all that shit, that taxes the hardware. And some compromises have to be made somewhere. So that being said, that's one of the reasons why I think the camera is disabled when you go into VR, and that is to save resources, because for all the power that the PS5 has, to me, it's still a 4-cylinder with a bunch of upgrades. It's a 4-cylinder with a turbocharger, overhead cams, racing transmissions, paddle shifters, all that stuff.
The experience is what is all about, yes?
Yeah, agreed. I forgot what I was going to do. Oh, that's what I was going to do. Go buy some soft tires for this car. So anyway, so one of the tips to reduce the blur was to turn down the screen brightness of this headset. Anywhere from 3/4 to 50%, which I've done that, and it reduced some of the blur. The other thing that I think that I'm seeing here is the time of day too. When you're racing in this sunny and that glare and all that stuff, I think that has an effect too. So I find that this afternoon race right here, it appears that made things a little bit easier to see too. And see, when I went around that corner, I saw that reprojection.
I heard you turn down the brightness to reduce Mura. Like 70% of 100.
Yeah, I've already done that.
Still get good brightness but with reduced image issues. Did you increase the ingame brightness in the game?
Yeah, the saturation and all that stuff. I turned it up. So and just like the tips have been saying, it reduces the blur but doesn't get rid of it. You'll never totally get rid of blur. That's just the nature of VR. That's just the way it works. Blur, mirror, ghosting, glaring, God rays, it's all part of VR.
As long as it doesn't affect the eye tracking.
No.
Would you say it is more of nitpicking than it really is?
That's I'll answer that question in a second, because I don't think it's a cut and dry answer. Okay, so to answer that question, I've been doing VR since 2016, and I don't think I would exactly have a place to say people might be nitpicking, because I've been in VR long enough to understand that we've only gotten to the point in the last few years where you can get a headset that doesn't have any blur. The original PlayStation VR was one of the blurriest headsets that I've ever worn. Then the Oculus Rift CV1 was the next headset that I tried. It had a resolution of 1200p. It wasn't as blurry as PlayStation VR, but it was blurry nonetheless. Then comes the Oculus Rift S, and then the original Oculus Quest. I've used those, and those were probably the first headsets where everything outside of the sweet spot wasn't blurry, but it wasn't razor sharp either. And it kind of continued to be like that until until a couple of years ago with the introduction of pancake lenses and eye tracking. So although I haven't tried that yet, I hear that for the games that support it, you can look everywhere and everywhere is clear. The Vario Aero and the Quest Pro are the two headsets that I hear that have some of the clearest pictures, even though they don't have the highest resolution. In fact, the Quest Pro has a lower resolution than the Quest 2. The Quest 2 has a resolution of 1948p, I believe, and I think the Quest Pro has a resolution of like 1920 or something like that. But from what I'm understanding, because of the eye tracking and the pancake lenses, is like everything is so clear. In the case of PlayStation VR, I think pancake lenses would have helped, but I don't know if it would have gotten rid of the blur completely, because I think some of the blur that we're seeing just comes down to horsepower. And it's like I said, I like to describe the PS5. It's a 4-cylinder engine with a bunch of performance upgrades. The SSD and shit like that. It's like, 4-cylinder with a turbocharger, dual overhead cam, racing transmission, positive traction, all kinds of shit. But at the end of the day, it still doesn't have the raw horsepower. Whereas my
Slim
PC,
says, "What's up?"
hey, what's up? Whereas my PC, I'm not trying to be braggadocious, but my PC has a 4090 in it, and that PC is so powerful that even wearing the HP Reverb G2, which has a somewhat of a small sweet spot, even outside of the sweet spot, everything is still clear. I can look anywhere, even out of the sweet spot, and still see clearly. And it's a big help for my sim racing titles. Now to finally get around to answering that question, if people are nitpicking or not,
Maybe the blur is down to the way how the game is rendered. Things up close, I am told, is razor sharp.
Mm-hmm.
Some say it rivals 8K resolution up CL.
I'll put it this way: out of all the headsets that I've tried, I would rank PSVR above the Rift S, but slightly below the Quest 2 as a PC headset, because the Quest 2 as a standalone headset, yeah, it kind of comes down to the games. Some games look good, some of them are kind of blurry. And I think that, as someone mentioned in the comments earlier, that as to what Digital Foundry said, if they would have stripped out some of the assets, it would have further downgraded this game as far as the visuals go, but they could have taken that and allocated it towards performance. So yeah, I think that what it boils down to. So now, as far as people nitpicking, I think it depends on who it is that's doing the nitpicking, because unfortunately PSVR has gotten dragged into this silly ass console war. So so if you want me to specifically talk about it, the Xbots, the toxic ones, and people who just are VR haters, they're the ones that's saying all the shit. People who are VR veterans, they understand how the landscape works. They understand that the majority of headsets out there have some sort of blur. Around the outer edges. It is what it is. Most VR headsets, everything within the sweet spot and everything up close is sharp, but shit in the background that's out of the sweet spot is blurry. It's just what it is. What it is. In the case of this,
they could have lowered the skybox resolution for better sharpness. They could have a low so not rendered the parts of your car you can't see. Boo. I'm happy with IGN lately. They finally giving VR its due with their reviews.
Yeah, they are. I think the truth, to tell the truth, I do think Sony has kind of done that, where they render the stuff that you can't see, because I've come to find out that, at least with me, when I try to stand up, the screen goes black, and then there's just like what looks like a digital outlines of a car. So I think they did that. I mean, I think, to put it simply, to give us what we got, I still think Sony had to use every trick in the book to try to get this game to look, decent and run decent. So given the hardware that they had, now you're going to find out that other things, and you also have to keep in mind that this is also a racing game, and everything around you, the game has to run it to make it look like you're doing 200 miles an hour. So that's, it takes quite a bit of horsepower to do that too. Now, you guys are going to find out that more games that we get down the line, if it's games where you're not moving around a lot, the picture's going to be clear, because the console's not having to work to render all that shit as at.
VR enthusiasts don't do console wars, that's why they are excited for PSVR 2. You don't see Meta versus PlayStation, but Xbox just hate on it cause T.
I think the Xbox people, they got bigger problems because if that, I don't know how this rumor or speculation got started, but I guess it's like speculated or rumored that if this Activision deal doesn't go through, that Microsoft could sell off the Xbox division. If that happens, what will these toxic Xbox people do? Will they jump ship, run the PlayStation? Will they go down with the ship and go down with Xbox? Or will they try to act like, oh, well, if somebody like Amazon were to buy the Xbox brand, they could bring it back to its glory, you know? Just
September 10th, Xbox have never tried VR but hate on it.
Mm-hmm. So, but I knew that was going to happen. It's just the way it is. I mean,
let's not forget this game was made for PS4.
Right. So
the advanced render technique is just not possible.
Sony could make another handheld, and these silly Xbots will find a way to drag it into the console war. I mean, these dudes just never take a day off. I mean, every now and then I'll troll on Twitter, but for the most part, it's just like, the shit it's just nauseating.
Had GT7 was built from the ground up for PS5, it would be much better.
I really don't know the inner workings of this situation, but I was under the impression that this game was built for PS5. But then I think in
Sony's movie sales like that's got shit to do with PlayStation.
Yeah, they're just silly. I'm led to believe that this game was a PS5 game, and then because of COVID and material shortages and shit like that, and Sony not being able to keep people supplied with this console, I think they had to do a pivot and make this game compatible on PS4 as well. And I think some of the complications have shown because some of the hardcore GT7 racers, were talking about the lobbies and the massive gap between the level of drivers that's in these races and stuff, and they were complaining about a number of things, and they think a lot of it had to do with this game basically being crossplay with PS4 and PS5. I think that might have been the same situation with
Slane says I almost had enough money to get the PSVR 2, but I broke my toe yesterday.
Oh.
Now I can't go back to work for a couple weeks.
Ouch. Ouch. I think in certain situations like these, you have to keep a certain amount of money around. I guess that basically is the belief that you should keep enough money in your account that if something happens, you can survive.
I don't understand the hate for the PSVR 2. For the seamless experience along with the visuals and features that you get, this may be T.
And I never got around to answering that question about whether people are nitpicking or not. What I meant to say before I went off the tracks and started talking about these silly ass Xbots is that if you're new to VR and you put on the headset and you're like, man, this is blurry as shit, I would understand somebody feeling that way, because the first time I ever tried PlayStation VR was at Best Buy when they were doing promos there, and I would go there and I would try Eve Valkyrie, and I noticed that it was slightly blurry and a little bit grainy, but the sensation of catapulting out of a ship into space and then engaging in a battle with other fighters was mind-blowing at the time. But then, when Christmas came and my son opened his PSVR for Christmas and we tried the PSVR demo disc, Drive Club was one of the demos on there. And I was absolutely floored by the immersion of actually sitting in a supercar like a Ferrari doing 200 miles an hour. But the shit was super, super blurry. And I remember thinking at the time, is this shit is amazing, but it's blurry as fuck. And I thought that was a situation where I thought maybe the devs were being lazy. I thought maybe, you know, Sony probably didn't know what they were doing as far as making their first VR headset. Maybe they took some shortcuts and shit like that. And truth be told, I criticized the shit out of PSVR for a good number of these games being blurry, but I didn't understand that that was the nature of VR until I got a PC. I mean, when I got my first PC, it had a 2070 in it, which at the time was probably 2, 3, 4 times more powerful than a PS4. And the games that I was playing over there were blurry. And it wasn't as blurry as PSVR. And my thinking was, wait a minute, I got this super powerful PC, I got a high-end headset, why is this shit still blurry? And it just, over time, I just had realized that VR had not advanced to the point where you could put on a headset and 100% of what you see is clear. I mean, we're just now getting to that point. And I think if it wasn't for the eye tracking, it'd probably be worse.
For me, PSVR 2 is more than decent, and I'm coming from a lot of VR headset experience, first starting with the Oculus DK1 up to a Valve Index.
Oh yeah, my son's got one of those. I tried a Valve Index, and the one thing I absolutely like about the Valve Index is that big FOV. I think it's 120 degree FOV.
To truly not be blurry, we need 8K. But we are only 5 or so years away. PSVR 3 will be so amazing, and sure of it.
Unless they can make a VR headset that is efficient beyond belief, it might take something like an 8090 to power a headset that's 8K. I mean, we're at 4K right now. I mean, we're at 4090 right now, and we're just now getting to a point where this newest GPU that we have, a 4090, which is what I have, we're just now getting to the point where you could plug your PC up to just about any headset and there's no blur. We're just now getting to that point where you have enough PCs, enough horsepower to run a 4K headset without any blur. So we get the 8K, it's going to take an unbelievable amount of power to run that shit.
I could see it upscaled from 4K to 8K. It won't look as
even if you
sharper.
Even if you upscale it, it still takes horsepower, because that's exactly what I'm doing right now. I have the HP Reverb G2. Natively, the resolution is 2160p, but through Steam VR, I've super sampled the resolution up to 3100p, and it is incredibly sharp.
I agree.
It is
gonna take a 8090 LOL.
Yeah.
And yes, the f.v is great in the Index. I thought I would miss it in the PSVR 2, but I haven't even. My PSVR 2 just went back to work today, but took a whole week off to dig into and be drowning in games.
I did too. I pretty
got
much
35 plus PSVR 2 games and only PL. Immersion is the key factor in VR.
I've only got 5 PSVR 2 games, because a lot of these launch games were already on PC. So therefore, either I already have these games or I have no interest in them. And like Resident Evil Village, for instance, I have it on PC and I've tried it with the VR mod. And I can tell you right now, the way they did it on PSVR 2, it wasn't done in such a manner
where it's Fatal.
Hey, what's up, Fatal? It wasn't done in such a way where the game was built for VR. VR was added. And you could tell by the way it was done, it was almost like Capcom called some modders to come in and, do exactly, because basically Resident Evil Village on PSVR 2 plays a lot like the VR mod that I've got on PC. So I didn't need to buy that game, but I did anyway. Pavlov was the one game that I did not need to buy, but I'm so glad I bought it. I mean, I'm thoroughly enjoying myself with Pavlov on PSVR 2, and I can tell you right now, and and I've done a couple of videos talking about this before, but in a nutshell, Pavlov on PSVR 2 is not as sharp as my PC, but it's still the best. It's still the best all around experience, because even the earbuds that come with PSVR 2 are amazing. The sound is amazing. The haptic triggers, the haptic feedback within the headset.
Will most likely be about as powerful as a 5080. I could see 2160p upscaled to 3240 in VR, which is essentially 6K.
Yeah, but the question is will PlayStation still be invested in VR by the time the PS6 comes around, or will they have moved on to something else?
That's my concern. That's the million-dollar question. Race 8 is just more comfortable and smooth on PSVR 2. Have a high-end PC and went back to Race 8 mod to compare, and it actually made me a lit. Sardegna track is nice.
Enter with your current car. Oh, entry period starts, and I'll go ahead and stick with this car. Let's see if we can get a qualifying time in. Let's see what we can do before I make up my mind which car to use. So I can tell you guys right now that turning down the screen brightness of the headset definitely helped.
Flag GT7 when my controllers are charging.
You know what? As of right now, the only games I want to play on,
games are smoother and more comfortable on PSVR, not sharper but a better experience.
Right now, the only games I want to play on PSVR is GT7 and Pavlov, even though I got it on PC.
Another pair of Sense controllers. One set is bull crap.
I think Sony's going to address that in due time.
different colors maybe. I need me that LeBron PS5 ASAP.
There we go.
PSVR 2 updates for the hardware are likely after a month.
Ah, shit, yeah.
Just received my CSL DDGT.
Oh, nice!
sell your Quest 2 for a PSVR 2?
Well, so to answer, let me park right here. So I mean, looking out, everything is clear. Like I said, it ain't razor sharp
Is
to
you
the
have
point.
PC, you need both. Good question.
So what I sell
Big
my Quest to?
asterisk.
See, that's what I was gonna say. I can answer that question, but it's gonna be an asterisk. Would I sell my Quest 2 for PSVR 2? Absolutely. And I say that because of my current situation. I've got about 5 headsets in here. I've got a Rift S, I've got 2 Quest 2s, I got an HP Reverb, and now I got a PSVR 2. So I've got now my situation is, in order to make things easier to move my headset from room to room, I bought a second PS5. Now I'm starting to want a second PSVR too. So that would be a no-brainer. I would gladly sell one of my Quest 2s and apply that money towards a PSVR 2. Because I don't use the Quest as a PC VR headset anymore. I use my Reverb G2 on my main computer because my main computer is for sim racing. My other computer, because I've got
IGN gave GT7 VR September 10th.
Now my second computer has a Quest 2 attached to it, and my third computer has a Rift S attached to it. So I still got another Quest
Let me
2
put it
laying
like
around.
this. I have a great PC and have a Quest 2. It's my only headset. I love PC VR, but the Quest 3 is coming in fall. Should. Evening at Lincoln Clay VR.
What's up? What's up? Now, Quest 3, oh boy. Whether I get one of those depends on how much it costs, because I am glad to learn that I guess it's going to have pancake lenses, but I don't think it's, from what I'm hearing, I don't think it's going to have eye tracking. Oh, you know what? Let me back out of here and see if I can enter. Oops. So, yeah, coming back to this blur thing. In addition to turning the screen brightness down, I'm sure you guys have heard it a million times.
It doesn't have eye tracking.
If it doesn't have eye tracking at all,
if you only had 2 headsets and had to pick between the Quest 2 and PSVR, which one would you take? The nice part of getting older, you get to buy yourself all the toys you want.
Absolutely. Oh, entry period starts in a few seconds.
Meta was canceling future headsets for 2023.
Actually, I think that's a good thing, because if they had planned on putting out the Quest 3 this year and they were planning on to put out another headset next year, I don't want a situation where they're putting out headsets every other year or every year like Apple does with the iPhone, because
if the PSMT have eye tracking, it will need the XR3 processor, otherwise it will be a waste of a panel.
If you keep putting out all these headsets every year, I think you're going to make things all the more difficult for developers, because now they have to scale their gain for so many different headsets.
I have a couple PC VR games I use with my Quest 2, but if I get a Quest 3 eventually, that isn't a waste, so I'm thinking of selling my Quest 2 francs. Ham thumbs up.
late on the brakes.
Oh, I forget text-to-speech doesn't say the name.
Yep.
Ham here. Yo.
Hey!
Gaming legends.
Emotional damage! Shouldn't you be sleep, Ham?
Does the text-to-speech get annoying? Emotional damage.
The
Bed soon.
the text speech. See, right now we're still in the honeymoon stage with the PSVR. So even with my channel being as small as it is, I'm still answering a lot of questions about the headset, which I'm only too happy to do because, like, I want you guys to be informed just as much as possible. But in the case of Gamertag, the day that he streamed GT7, because he streamed it, I think like 2 days before the headset launched, and he had about 700-800 people watching. So
are you enjoying GT7 on PSVR 2 more than the PC VR Sims?
it's that's an apples to oranges answer, because it's like I was saying, you know, one like a Santa Corsa Competizione on PC and VR is still my favorite sim, but it's serious. It's all business when I'm over there, because you know, depending on what room you get thrown in, you're in there with some of the fastest dudes in the world. GT7 is entertainment to me, because you're dealing with a totally different demographic of racers. I think you're dealing with a lot of racers who are casual, a lot of racers who are using a controller and don't have a wheel, and also you're dealing with a lot more dirty racers that are people in this game race with the intentions of knocking other cars off the track. Although that does happen on us.
Watching Mindhunter on Netflix and your channel smiling face with sunglasses.
Hey, thank you so much.
Zane says if I want to get the PSVR 2, the only way is to sell my Quest 2.
Now, whether to sell your Quest 2, that is such a murky situation, because if I was in a situation where I had to choose between using my Quest 2 as a PC headset and choose between PSVR 2, this is going to be really rough, and it's really a hard question to answer, but I would probably opt to go with PC and Quest 2, because there's a lot more games out there. These games also have mods. And then, like the AAA games, for instance, like take Cyberpunk, for instance. There's already a VR mod for it. So if you want to play it in VR, you can. Whereas if you have PSVR 2, you have to wish upon a star and hope that somebody can work some magic to bring it to PSVR 2. Whereas, you know, on PC, anything is possible. You could play, the way the PC landscape is, you could play any game in VR. Any game. I mean, there's even a VR mod out there for Spider-Man Miles Morales where you could play that in VR. So, if you put a gun to my head and force me to have to choose between PC and PSVR, I'm probably going to go with PC. Oh shit, I was trying to see what that was out there. I got 9 minutes before it starts. So yeah, looking out there, I mean, that picture is clear.
I like
And
the way you're pulling over in order not to endanger anyone. Now that's emotion.
oh shit.
Sloan says that's true, but I also don't have a lot of PC VR games, nor do I like to play flat games into VR unless they are proper ports like Re4. Prefer my wrist
And
for
that's
PC
and that's
gaming,
one of
more
the
comfortable.
and that's one of the beautiful things about PSVR, because now, because before PSVR 2 came along, a lot of developers were developing for Quest, so we would get a lot of those games that had PS2 type graphics. Now that PSVR 2 is here, developers are going to start developing for PSVR 2, and a lot of those games are going to go to PC or vice versa. Like, for instance, one advantage of having PC right now, there's this game called Ghost of Tabor that's coming up. And this game, I think it launches March 20th. I think it launches March 20th, so this month. But I think the open beta starts next week on PC. And so you'll be able to play this game through the open beta, and you won't have to pay to play online. Whereas, online games on PSVR, you're going to need the PlayStation Plus, which costs $60 a year. Not only that, on PC, especially if you got a Quest headset, you have multiple avenues to play a ton of games for free. There's so many free games on PC. It's unbelievable. Even on the Quest platform, there's a ton of free games because the Quest store has free games. Their sub store called App Labs has a ton of free shit, and then you have SideQuest, where SideQuest is a game where would-be developers go to showcase their games, and you can play a ton of games through SideQuest for free. So you get much, much, much more content on PC. Yeah, a lot of it's shovelware, don't get me wrong, but you get so much more content on PC. And so me having to choose between Quest and PSVR 2 has nothing to do with the headset. It has to do with the format.
I absolutely need Resident Evil 4 Remake in VR. I would choose that any day.
Well, that's one game where I wouldn't count your chickens before it hatch, because we just don't know we don't know how that game's going to look in VR. Are they going to have to strip away some of the assets to make it run good? We'll just have to see. Folks, I've got to take a moment to run to the bathroom before the race starts.
Support gaming. What's good, Lincoln?
Sport gaming was good. Okay, folks, I'm back. You know, also want to take a moment to thank everyone who tuned in on Saturday to watch my son play Pavlov. And my son is an absolute monster at Pavlov. He had one session where he had 55 kills, another one where he had 51 kills, another one where he had 47 kills. And I'm thinking about asking my son to become to be part of my lineup. So he comes over every Saturday. So I'm thinking about asking my son to do a Pavlov stream when he comes over on Saturdays, so you guys can watch a real assassin go to work. Because if you watch me play, you're just going to see a person get a kill here and there. But I mean, you watch him play, it's like watching a dentist snatch teeth. You know, it's just like just something he does in his sleep. So, where are my gloves? You know, so, Ham, if you still happen to be watching, so how are you feeling about PSVR?
I was just on GT7 updating my 4C livery. You can now change the brake balance.
Ah.
I'm loving PSVR 2. The Sense controllers are game changers, and GT7 with the fan blowing is probably one of my best gaming experiences of my life.
You know, it doesn't really matter what game you're playing, but when it comes to sim racing games, it doesn't matter what game you're playing. Whether it's GT7 or F122, one of the coolest things is to have that fan blown in your face when you're driving an open wheel car like a Formula One car. I mean, I got a fan blown on me right now, but it adds to the immersion when you're sitting in like an open wheel car.
I'm so torn on Quest 2 or PSVR 2. I love my Quest 2, but even then I only play it once a week. Yes, PCVR has more games, but I only play Pavlova.
And here we go. Let me get my gloves ready. Where am I at on here? So I qualified 8th. Fastest qualifying time is 1:49, so I won't be able to beat those guys, but I do think I might be able to crack a 1:51. The one thing I do like about this headset that I didn't think was going to make that big of a difference is the FOV, 110 degrees, because the Quest 2, my HP Reverb G2, and I believe the Rift S, I believe all those headsets have a FOV of 90 degrees. And so the extra 20 degrees didn't seem like it was going to make that much of a difference, but it does. Because I don't feel like I'm looking, you know, with a 90-degree field of view, you feel like you're looking through binoculars. These are a little bit wider. So I don't necessarily feel like I'm wearing binoculars, and I don't have to move my head around as much to see everything. Damn it, and here we go. This is what I was talking about. These guys hit you with the intentions of knocking you off the track. Like that Ferraro right there. He's plowing right into everybody. Look at him taking people out. The dude just don't care. Unbelievable. This is the one thing
option for me is to buy the G29 first.
Yeah.
Some people just don't care. Wish there was a way to report problematic drivers that ruin it for everyone else.
No, to me, they have to change their penalty system. The difference, this is why I see GT7 is...
to see heads turning looking at you in multiplayer in GT7.
No, I haven't really looked for that, but I haven't noticed it either. See, this is why GT7 is entertainment to me, because
the button command to wave.
Yeah, that would be neat.
You should try to find a league. It can be sometimes better because you can steward the races and penalize accordingly.
Yeah, which would be cool. The problem with a league is I'd have to find one that works on my schedule. I mean, I race with Ham on Fridays anyway, so which on there, you know, since Ham's in control, I would like to think he has the ability to kick anybody who's doing dumb shit.
Is Gamertag VR your favorite VR YouTuber friend? You can find good races in lobbies as well. Doesn't always have to be sport mode.
I get that, but there's something on the line in sport mode because these are ranked races. And the other thing about, and I don't want to go into open lobbies because I don't want to race against people who are using juiced up cars. I don't want to race against people who are using Honda Civics with nitrous on it and shit like that. I want them, you know, I want to race in pure race cars. But at the end of the day, this is just the nature of GT7. It's just dirty racers on there. That's all to it.
Do you get credits if you race in lobbies?
I think so. I just don't know how good or bad the payout is, because I really don't pay attention to that.
Word, I hear that.
The crazy part about it is I still got time to catch the slower drivers.
Nice comeback.
Thank you so much. That's really the only consolation I got out of this race, is that I was able to mount a little bit of a comeback. I want to get mad, but jeez, I don't even know who hit me. So I'm going to do this race over again, but I'm going to come back with my Ford GT.
Nice race.
Thank you, thank you. All right, let's see what we can do.
Cool day-night transition.
Yeah. And it definitely feels different being in this car. Oh. Thank my lucky stars. Yep, so much for the lucky stars. There we go.
people having trouble going back to Quest 2 after playing with PSVR 2.
Ah, so I've been hearing that.
Anything like that?
Well, to tell you the truth, I was kind of done with my Quest even before PSVR 2 came out anyway. Because one thing I'm tired of with the Quest is that they put out too many fucking updates. And they're like, they'll put out an update, it'll break something. By the time somebody figures out how to fix what they broke, a new update comes out and then it breaks something else.
People don't want to play Grid.
I get if they don't want to play Grid, but it's okay with me. You know, shout out to Gamertag. He sent me a key to the game to review. And I'll give you my thoughts on Grid in a second.
Grid should come to PSVR 2. That would be end of discussion.
Good point.
Point indeed. That in Dirt 2.
Yeah, another one. Good point. So where am I ranked? Oh shit. So it looks like I'm ranked
Have
9th.
you tried turning off the HUD for full immersion?
Yes, I've tried that, but I like having the HUD on because one, I need to see like the traction control. I need to see tire wear, all that stuff. I need to see all that stuff. Yeah, I've always been like that when it comes to sim racing. I gotta have the HUD inside the car with me, especially the map. Because if it's a track I don't know very well, I've got to rely on the map inside the car until I get used to the track enough where I don't need the map. Because before this week, I had never raced on this track before.
Possibly
And
good if you have damage and wear off.
so yeah, I needed the HUD so I could see the track, so I knew what turns and stuff like that were coming up. Where am I at? Oh, I'm 11th. Holy shit. So I'm in here with a faster group.
Can you tell what spot you're in or how your tires, etc.?
Mm-hmm. So I absolutely gotta have the HUD. Here we go, dive bombing again. Oh shit.
Canadian racer. Now that's what I'm talking about. Damn, that side-by-side racing looks intense.
Yes, it does. Well, it was fun while it lasted.
They aggressive.
Shit. penalty. I almost don't even want to finish this race now. Dead last and got a penalty. It's going to take me too long to catch up to the cars that passed me. What's up? What's up? What's up? Wish I could say I was doing better, but you know how it is with GT. You're going to get knocked off the track.
Cheetos with Coca-Cola. Gonna watch a movie later. Lol.
Nice.
would you rate this game out of 10? Thanks.
Tell you in a minute.
Bro.
Oh, damn it! He got me! He got me! He got me!
This intense, I love it. Red heart.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. But I got a penalty, so he's gonna, even if I catch him, he's still gonna get away because of the penalty that I got. Right here. Yeah, that penalty broke my back. So to answer this question, is this a good game? I think it's a great game, but I don't like the microtransactions. When this game first came out, they boasted that this game would have physics that rivaled more more intense sims, you know, like the Assetto Corsas, the iRacings, that sort of thing. And when the game first launched, it did have physics that I felt was more realistic. But I think after people started complaining about the physics, about it being too real and stuff like that, I think they watered down the physics to the point where anybody can race. You know, people can pick up a controller who've never raced in their life and still have a realistic shot at getting a good finish in a race. And I feel like the reason why they did that was to protect the microtransactions. Nobody's going to buy the microtransactions if they're not playing the game. They're not going to play the game, at least the casuals aren't. The casuals are not going to play the game if they think it's too hard to play. So they had to restructure the physics to cater to the casuals so they stay involved and therefore they pay for microtransactions. So that is my problem with the game. But other than that, I mean, it's a great game. It's arguably the best looking game that I've ever seen in terms of the flat screen. And you could even make a case that as far as the graphics goes, you can still make the case that it's the best looking game that I've ever seen in VR. It's just not the sharpest. So, but I am enjoying myself. And I mean, I've got 5 PlayStation VR 2 games, but I've only played 2 of them, and that's GT7 and Pavlov. And after this stream, I'm going to jump into some Pavlov because I feel like shooting something before I go to bed. Even though I have Pavlov on PC, the best experience is on PSVR 2. And it's refreshing to play Pavlov on PSVR 2 because I played it for so many years on PC. And you see this game get introduced to a totally new audience, and you see how they are wowed by the simple mechanics of having to physically load a gun. And they are thoroughly enjoying it over on PSVR to the point where I dare say that this game has its own following now. So, I think with that, I'm going to go ahead and shut this stream down and jump into some Pavlov. I just don't know if I'm going to stream it or not. So I would probably tell you guys that if I stream it, look for me roughly about 15 or 20 minutes after I end this stream. So, but even though, oh wait a minute, my driver rating, I got knocked back down to a D. I was up to a C, but the dirty drivers, what can you do about it? I think the difference between there is no. I think I know. On Assetto Corsa Competizione, especially in the low fuel motorsports races, you stand to lose a lot of ELO if you get reported. Because they do have a system where you can report people. Somebody knocks you off the road, you save the replay, you make a video clip of said incident, and you upload it to their website, and live stewards will take a look at the clip, and if they determine that the person was at fault, they will hit him with a heavy penalty. So in the case of low fuel motorsports, they race closely, but the majority of them are not trying to take you out. Accidents do happen. Some of them are a little bit over aggressive, but the majority of those guys do not try to take you out. I think in the case of GT7, these guys come into the corner with the intentions of bumping you out of the way, because the way this penalty system is structured, somebody can knock you off the track, send you into a wall, and you get hit with a penalty and nothing happens to them. So they have every motivation in the world to race dirty. And hence you saw it. I mean, every single race I got knocked off the track and got knocked into the wall and had to fight my way back from last place. And hence that's why when I'm dead serious, I race on a set of Corsa Competizione. When I want to have fun and I want entertainment, I play this game. So that's one of the reasons why I'm not blowing up, throwing a wild fit and stuff like that, because I got taken out. Because, like I said, this game is entertainment for me, and it's just the way the people are on this game. It is what it is. But no less, I still have fun though. So yeah, my Sense controller is about to die, so I need to put that on the charger, and I think I'm ready to
Need
end.
to be able to report and ban dirty drivers.
One of the reasons why they're not going to ban dirty drivers is because each time they ban someone, that's microtransaction money that they may not get because that person's been banned. The microtransactions in this game is most important to Polyphony Digital above all else. We are beyond a pure racing game. This game has a Grand Theft Auto type economy that's been structured.
Sad truth there.
So it is what it is. And so my choice is, I've got two choices. Either I can play dirty just like them and start knocking cars out of the way, or I can just do the best I can and take pride in the fact and knowing that I'm not a dirty racer. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and boogie on out of here. And my other PlayStation is in the next room, so I'm going to unplug this headset, go plug it into the next room, and play some Pavlov. And like I said, if I decide to go live, you'll see me go live within like the next 15 or 20 minutes after this stream is over. So, if I happen to go live and you guys want to see some Pavlov, keep it tuned in here. So hopefully we'll see you all in a little bit. Until then, you all know the line. Wakanda forever. Long live the king, and deuces. Hopefully we'll see you all in a little bit.